Hello soulmates, welcome to a new week and welcome to a new tutorial video. On this video, we'll be making this asymmetric skirt. So the first thing you need to do is to draft out your basic skirt. But if you look at this skirt, you see that it's not a straight skirt, it's an A-line skirt. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to get your waist, then your hip line, and then you impute your measurements. Remember, you have to give space for your band, right? That's why I removed 1.5 inch on the top part. Then you get the length of your skirt. So the measurements you need are your waist, hip, and the full length of your skirt. Then to mark your vertical measurements, your measurements are going to be your waist divided by 4 plus your allowance. You can decide to add make your allowance 1.5 inches or 2 inches allowance. All right. So the next thing you need to do is to just connect your lines. So we're first going to draw a straight skirt first. Then I'm going to show you how you turn your straight skirt to an A-line skirt. So from your hip line, right? From your hip line, you just draw a slant line to the edge of your skirt. That's to the length of your skirt, like so. And then you've gotten an A-line skirt. Can you see it? So this is just how to create your A-line skirt. So you need enough material. All right. So when we're done with the front, the difference between the front pattern and the back pattern is just the zipper allowance area. Okay, so for you to draft your back pattern, you just need to add a zipper allowance. All right, so that's how we're going to. Can you see our skirt? Can you see that the bottom part is slant like an A-line skirt? So this is the front pattern. Then we're going to use it to cut our back pattern. So guys, please, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click on the subscription button and subscribe, like, share, and ask your questions in the comment section. So we're going to be drafting out the back part. I'm just doing it so that we'll just follow, all right? But if you really want to watch a detailed tutorial on how to draft a simple A-line skirt, it's on my YouTube page, so you can also watch it on my page, all right? So the difference, as I said earlier, is just the zipper allowance area. Okay, there's another way of also cutting your A-line skirt. The zipper allowance area, instead of making it straight, you can also still make it slant too, so that if you want your A-line skirt to be very full, all right, so you can do that too. So when you're done with this, the next thing you're going to do is to cut out your pattern on your main fabric. All right, you cut out your pattern on your main fabric. Then you can choose to, if you look at the picture we're working with, there's a waist dart. So you fix your dart, right? You notch your center front and your zipper allowance area. Then you notch your dart area and you draw your dart legs. So but for this tutorial, I'm not drawing a dart leg. I'm just going straight into the skirt. All right. So I've cut out my skirt on my main fabric. I cut out the front and the back pattern. Now the next thing we're going to do is to close the zipper allowance area, then to join the sides, the two sides of our skirt. That's to shape our skirt. All right, so I'm going to close the zipper allowance area for the back, shape the sides of the skirt, and then I'm going to put my band and you put your zip. All right, so that's what you're just going to do. You're just going to sew your skirt normally. Fix your dart legs if you want to, put your band and then put your zip. So can you see, this is how your skirt is going to be. You see that the bottom part is wider than the upper part, that A line. You can look, if when you look at the skirt, you see it's looking like an A line. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is to create that shape on which we are going to make our flare. So you get your chalk and just create your shape. If you want yours to be high or low, if you look at the tutorial, you see that the picture, the shaping is below, is directly on the person's hip, right? So you can choose yours to be on top or below, depends on your preference, all right? And then you cut out the shape. You're cutting out both the front and the back together. And if you watch, the cutout didn't get up to the center front, it's at the side area. So now the next thing you're going to do, there are two ways of creating this. You can decide to just use a long strip material. Like you can decide not to cut a peplon. Do you get? Just use a long material and just attach it to it. As if you draw gather on the long material. So the first thing you have to do is to get the full length of the part we are working with. That's the circumference, right? So the first method is when you get the circumference, you can decide to just use a straight material, right? You now get a material that if the circumference is 22.5, you get a material that is 45 inches long, and then you draw gather and attach it to that area. But that's not what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to show you how to use your peplon or flare. So I already have a tutorial on how to cut this flare, but let me just show you guys. For a full circle, to get the radius, you say the circumference divided by 6.28 plus allowance. That's the radius for a full circle. For a half circle, circumference divided by 3.14 plus allowance. So, but for this tutorial, let me show you how to cut a full circle. Let's use a full circle because a full circle is going to give you more flare. All right. So the circumference I'm working with is 22.5, right? When I measured the whole part that I cut out. So, but I'm going to add like 10 inches. I'm adding that 10 inches because I want the flare to be very full. Do you get? I want it to be very full. So when you add 10 inches, then your circumference you are going to be working with is 32.5, right? Then you say 32.5 divided by 6.28 plus 2 inches allowance. So my radius is going to be 7. I think 7.0, 7 point something. So my radius is 7. So the radius I'm going to be working with is going to be 7 inches. Do you understand? Because I'm cutting a full flare, right? So you can pause the video to copy the formula. So to get your full flare, you get your paper or your material and fold it into 4. This is the first step. Fold it into 2 like so, and then fold it like so into 4. Now we're going to work with the closed edge. All right, we're going to work with the closed edge. So now remember our radius is 7 inches. So from the center point from that point, we'll mark out a semicircle that is 7 inches long. Okay, so you place your tape on the midpoint, right? And then you mark out 7 inches round. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You mark out 7 inches round. So you mark 7 inches from the middle to the sides, up to the sides. Can you see what I'm doing? So when you're done marking that 7 inches, the next thing you need to determine, when you mark out that 7 inches, that is going to be your radius. That's, we've gotten our circumference now. Do you get now? So when we get our circumference, the next thing we're going to get is the length of the flare. Now you have to decide on how long you want your flare to be. If you look at this flare now, it's up to, I think it should be up to 10 inches long. So you decide, you ask your client, or you decide how long you want your flare to be. All right. Then when you decide how long you want your flare to be, from that radius that we marked, you now mark out the length of your flare. You first of all mark your 7 inches as your radius, right? You mark it out. Then after getting your radius, then you're going to mark out the length of your peplon. Hope you understand up to this area. So that's how we're going to get the length of our peplon. So the length of your peplon should be long, all right? The length of your peplon should be long so that it will cover up your laps. Well, depends. If you want yours to be short, depends on your preference. So now the length of the peplon that I'm going to be working with is going to be 5 inches because that's what my paper is remaining, all right? But don't restrict yourself to your paper. Just depends on your fabric and what your client wants, all right? So you mark out 5 inches. Can you see how I'm marking my 5 inches? This is going to be the length of the peplon. Do you get now? The peplon that we're going to be attaching to the skirt area. Please, if you have any question up to this point, let me know in the comment section and I will be right there to reply your messages. Okay? So now I'm going to cut out the length of the peplon. Okay? So guys, please, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click on the subscription button and subscribe. You can send me your styles that you want a tutorial on and I'll help you out. Okay? So now I've cut it out. As you can see, I've cut out the top part, which is the radius. Now this is the flare we're going to be attaching to the skirt. Then you cut open one part. Do you get? Yeah, so you're cutting it open because you're going to attach it to the skirt now. So when you get your material, right, you now start from the bottom part. Can you see from the bottom part, and then you attach it round? If you watch, you see that the peplum is very long. Yes, because remember I added 10 inches, then added 2 inches again. So you're going to pleat it. Okay, so now I've cut out my peplon and I've added it to my fabric, to my main skirt. Can you see how it's looking? Because the length is 5 inches, you see it's not so long. But if I made the length like up to 10 inches or 7, you see that it will be very long. So this is how to achieve this style, this design of skirt. And I hope this tutorial was helpful to you. And if it was helpful to you, please click on the subscription button, subscribe, like, and share. Thank you guys for watching, and see you on my next tutorial. Bye.